Hey, so we're going to talk about wheel guns, revolvers, cylinder guns, 6-shooters. Which actually isn't always true, by the way. But let's go over a couple of the basics. We'll talk about the different types and something about these guns. Now, before I start talking about the guns, you'll notice I will be using dummy ammunition or dummy rounds, whatever you want to call it. What I do is I have a whole bunch of dummy rounds for if I practice or going through a system, or when I'm showing somebody, training somebody, or walking them through the steps on a pistol or a gun, how to use it. So what we got here is two very standard common pistols, wheel guns, revolvers, whatever you want to call them. This is a Smith Wesson 686. Very common, very good gun. And on this one is a GP100. It's a Ruger. These are both in 357 and 38. So when you say 357 and 38, this is a dummy round for 38, and this is dummy round for 357. A 357 will not fit into a gun that is only chambered for 38, but a 38 will fit in a gun that's chambered for a 357. So they have the same, what is that, circumference when it goes around, or diameter, I think it's through. Circumference is when you go around it. So they're the same size when it comes to that. Now this 38 will easily fit into the chamber there. Nice and snug, no issues. So you can put a 38 into a revolver, or you can put a 357 also into these revolvers. Nice and snug in there, no issues. All right, that's the first thing to know. Also, there's a couple of common rounds that you would have for revolvers. So obviously 38, 357, everybody's heard of those. Also a Colt, 45 Colt, is a Old West round, and then 44 mag. Actually, the 44 mag is a little bit bigger than the the 44 mag is a little smaller than the 45 Colt. 45 Colt's a little thicker. It's the same circumference as a 45 caliber pistol, or ACP. And then of course there's 22. Although I don't own a 22 revolver. I'd like to get one, but I just don't own it. Not yet. Probably in the near future. Also want to show you just this one cool thing. I just found it in my, I forgot I had this in my dummy kit. So you could buy these blanks, and you could put the blanks in these guns too. They're made for 357 or 38. So if you're kind of training somebody and you don't feel safe with them shooting live ammunition, you could give them a blank and let them get used to it. If they're jerking around, or they're being a little jumpy with it, you can give them a blank, let them get used to a blank. And you can also do it with a shotgun. So you buy this 12 gauge adapter that, I have a break open shotgun. I don't think it works in the pump, but you could take the blank and put it in here, and then put it into like a double barrel or over and under, and use it like that. So just want to show you that. All right, getting back to the revolvers. These are great. Both of these are considered very good guns. The GP100, which is it GP100 or 101? I believe it is the 100. Yeah, the GP100 from Ruger. This is actually my favorite as far as utility wise. It's just such a smooth, clean pistol, a revolver, wheel gun, and it feels like a tank. This one is also very nice. I like this one a lot. The Smith Wesson 686 5-inch barrel. This one feels just so solid, right? So that's the basics your typical wheel gun or revolver. I'm not sure what you want to call it. You can call it whatever you want. This one is a 6 shooter. This one is a 7. That's why I said 6 shooter isn't always exactly what these guns will shoot. You can get some of these in 8. You know, so this is a 7. This is a 6. Now, what other kinds of nomenclatures would you have on some of these guns? On a wheel gun? Well, let's take a look at kind of an older wheel gun, revolver. So this is a Ruger Vaquero, and this one is a single action. And the way these work is the cylinder doesn't pop out. You open the side here and you put the ammo in that way, and then when you want to pop the ammo out, you use this plunger here, and that pushes the ammo out. Now this is a 45 Colt, so if I take my 45, actually that's the 44, if I take the 45, it drops right in there, and then you just go on to the next cylinder until they're all filled. And let's pop that out, and then if you want to pop it out, you just this plunger up here again, and make sure you line it up good. Now this is one kind of single action, and I'll go over to single action, double action. This is an 1872, an 1872 the Colt 1872 Navy single action revolver. Very old type kind of a gun, same way. Now this will only take a 38 special, which is this round, so the 38 will go in there, and just like the other one, you know, you would turn the barrel. Actually, you have to cock this back a little bit and do it like that. So definitely a very much older style than the Vaquero. But the same way you eject around, you use the plunger here. You gotta line this up. I'm trying to get it so the camera can see it. So let me just get that lined up. And come on, do the motion. So this actually has like a rail. There you go. Yeah. So older gun, doesn't work exactly like this one. The biggest difference between these single actions, the older and then the newer, is if I pull the hammer back, this has a little pin. That's the actual firing pin right there. So this directly will hit the round. So if you actually fill this, if you load this single action, you actually want to keep one cylinder without a round in there, because that could happen, and it could land on a live round and fire when you're not expecting it, because the firing pin's right there. So you would typically load all your rounds. This is a 6 shooter. You would put 5 rounds in there and just leave one chamber empty, and you would carry it with the hammer down like that. So if something hits the hammer, you know, you don't have a misfire. The newer single actions are a little different. So you can pull the hammer back, and you'll see that there's no pin on it, and there's this plate right back here. So that plate only will, you know, it will give way when you pull the trigger, but when you have the hammer down, it's not, there's no pin that's sitting on a bullet. So you could actually fully load this one and not worry about having a misfire, because the hammer is actually sitting on a trigger. Now, what does single action mean? Let's take a Smith Wesson Model 10. Right, so this is 38 Special Model 10. I got this because this reminds me of the old New York City police guns. The town I grew up in, the old school cops, this is what they carried: Model 10, 6-shot, 38 Special, Smith Wesson. So it's kind of a nostalgic gun for me. But what is a single action versus a double action? Well, the action is what the trigger does. If I pull the trigger on here, the hammer does nothing, right? So there's no action. If I pull the trigger here, the hammer starts going back, the barrel turns, and so that's first action is the hammer goes back, and the second action is that it hits the bullet. So again, first action, pulls the hammer back, second action, it fires. So I don't have to pull the hammer back, it just goes as I pull the trigger. That's a double action. A single action is, I pull the trigger here, nothing happens. I have to pull the hammer back. So what's the action with the trigger? There's only one action. Pull the trigger. So the trigger only does one thing. It only has one single job, and that's to drop the hammer. I probably shouldn't leave it on the table as I do that, because it's probably not good for the cylinder here. But yeah, so that's considered a single action revolver. Is pull the hammer back, the trigger has one job, drop the hammer. For a double action, the trigger has two jobs, it pulls the hammer back, and then it releases the hammer. That is the difference between a single action and a double action. Now let's talk about the different kinds of revolvers, right? Let's put two snub noses together. So this is a Smith Wesson 686 Performance Center. Now this isn't really a gun you would carry, it's just too nice to carry. It's a Performance Center Smith Wesson. So you can see it's empty. It's 357 or 38. It's got the smooth cylinder, and same thing, it's double action, but it's such a smooth trigger. That's what you get with the Performance Center, is just that really smooth action on there. Okay, and you have the trigger, so I can make it a single action so this is double single action. So if I pull the hammer back, I can just pull the trigger. It gives it a really light trigger pull, almost nothing. Barely pull that thing. And that's the Performance Center, right? Nice gun. I would never carry it because it's too nice to carry. It's just a thing. It's also a 7-shot. But I will show you the gun I do carry. And this is the Smith & Wesson. I believe they call it a, what is it, the Bodyguard, I think? It's either, yeah, I believe this is the Bodyguard. Yeah, so this is a Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. It is a 38 special. And what you notice about this one, it doesn't even have a hammer on the back. So they call this a hammerless. There's a hammer inside, it's just not on the back, it's not exposed. So this is only double action. So I can't do single action. I can only use the trigger, and that does everything the other guns do. It makes the chamber, or it makes the cylinder move, and then gets the next bullet in the cylinder ready to fire. But it is a double action only, meaning the trigger pulls back this hammer that's hidden inside of there, and it does release it. So that is a double action only. This is double action and single action. Big difference between these guns is this is an all steel gun, a very robust, heavy, well-made gun or revolver. This is, I wouldn't even say it's cheap, but it is made out of, I believe, magnesium or some other kind of metal alloy that makes it a lot lighter. It is only, and you see this opens different than all the other guns. It's got the top thing here, so it's ambidextrous, but it is only a 5-shot. So what you do is you can get 38 special, but what I actually have is, it's called 38 special plus P. So it is a plus P, which is slightly more powerful. Well, not slightly, it is a lot more powerful than just a 38 special. They say it's close to a 357, the chamber pressures. It's probably more like a 9mm, if I had to guess. And then, yeah, so those are your snub noses, so you can get one of those. Now, we're gonna bring in Mamba, the mother of all, or Marva, or whatever. So this is a Smith & Wesson Model 29. This is the, if you're my age or older, 6-shooter. This is the Dirty Harry gun. This is the 44 caliber. So this is a 44 caliber mock bullet or fake bullet or whatever round. and it fits perfectly in there. Oh, and I'll show you what happens if you try to put a 357 in a 38 special. But let's just go through the 44. Again, double, single. Very old style, not extremely old, but a 1960s, 70 kind of frame to it. Very big gun. It has to be able to handle those extreme 44 caliber, 44 Magnum, and you can get 44 light or 44 Magnum, and there's a huge difference too when you shoot the two different. Now this is a 45 Colt. This is a 40. No, where is it? This is a 44 Magnum, right? They kind of look similar, right? But they're not. Wait, is that the 44? Yeah. So we can put the 44s in there, and they fit nice and snug, no problem, right? Now what happens if I try to put a 45 Colt? It won't fit, because even though these are 44s, very close to a 45, the 45 won't fit. What if we put a 44 into a 45 Colt? So we'll put the 44, and you can see it's just very loose in there. It goes all the way in, but you can tell it's not made for that. So if you get these mixed up, you should be able to tell pretty quickly. Okay, now one of the last things I want to show you is what happens if you put a 357 in a 38 special. Now when we put the 38 special or 38 plus P, it falls in nice and snug. You can see that it's right up against there. You can close the chamber, you can cycle through it, no problem. Right now, if you put a 44, sorry, not a 44, a 357, it doesn't fit all the way in there. This is why I was saying you could put a 38 and a 357 in a 357 gun, but you can't put a 357 in a 38 caliber gun because it'll stick out here a little bit in the back. So if you're not sure if you have 38 or 357 ammo and you're old like me, it won't let you make that mistake because you won't even be able to close the cylinder. One of the influencers, he's not even an influencer, I mean he's like one of the best shooters in the world, is Jerry Michelin. His daughter is actually upcoming too now. But Jerry's got a lot of great information. And one of the things when I was watching that he said that I was doing stupidly was I was like snapping the gun closed like they do in the movies, to close the cylinder, or I was slamming the cylinder. And what he was saying is that's really bad for the gun, because what it does is it just bends this ever so slightly, and enough bent, can screw the timing up. These things have very fine timing, and if you slam that cylinder closed, it could bend it just a little bit and throw in the timing. You get the timing, you're going to have a lot of problems with your revolver. So you don't have to be super gentle, but be aware of that and just close it like a normal person. Don't do it like you're in the movies. So that is a little I'm trying this all in one shot, no editing or anything. I like to do my videos without editing, so you can kind of see the raw what I'm dealing with or doing in a very raw form. And then you can leave your comments, call me an idiot, say I don't know what I'm talking about. I get a lot of that. Say I'm new to guns, I don't know nothing about guns. And you know what? I'm always open to people who know a lot more than me or is better at this than I am. I have no ego, and I'm always open to feedback. So there you go. Today's wheel gun day, revolvers, 6 shooters, which is really not true. So everybody have a wonderful time. I hope this video showed you something maybe you didn't know, or you're just purchasing a gun for the first time and you're interested in a revolver. All right. Hope my camera didn't shake too much. Cheers.